Hi, this is Fred Barstein with 401k TV on location in Boston. And while we're here, we thought we'd stop by and talk to Fidelity Investments, who is the largest record keeper by assets under management and a leading target date fund provider. And we're here with Brian Leet, who is the head of institutional portfolio management. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Fred.
And today we wanted to talk about understanding the different trade-offs that target date funds take, seeking to provide better outcomes. So the first question, Brian, that I have, and we hear a lot, is the difference between a to and a through strategy. Can you explain those differences and what each is designed to accomplish?
Certainly, and while that question has some nuance to it, in simple terms, a to strategy is designed to reach its lowest equity allocation at the point of retirement. A through strategy, conversely, is designed to achieve that lowest equity allocation well into retirement. So for example, a to strategy tends to emphasize market volatility as the primary risk, particularly around at the point of retirement. Mm-hmm. Whereas in so doing, they will tend to favor a lower equity allocation for the most part. A through strategy tends to put more emphasis upon longevity risk, which is the risk that a participant might outlive their assets in retirement. And therefore, they'll tend to favor a higher equity allocation through and into retirement as a result.
Right. And a lower equity means less risk.
Generally speaking, equities are going to be the biggest driver of risk in the portfolio. Yes.
And return.
And return.
So Brian, based on the goal of improving retirement readiness, how do the different approaches, the to versus through, impact that?
To illustrate some of these differences between plan design and this to versus through question, we've looked at a variety of different scenarios based on historical market environments, for example, and different plan design illustrations as well. So for example, we had a baseline scenario that assumed that you had a constant 6% savings rate on behalf of the participant. We also had an enhanced scenario where the savings rate was 9% in constant terms. And then finally, we had what we considered an increasing plan design where the savings rate was variable. It started from a 6% rate, increased to 18 over the course of the participant's working life, but averaged about 15% overall.
So Brian, based on those different savings rate scenarios, how does to versus through impact them?
Well, to some extent, it depends on the market environment we're talking about. So when we looked using simulations using historical data, when we look at an average historical market environment, for example, the through glide path achieved better outcomes than the to did, in harnessing equity returns, for example. So that advantage actually for the through glide path increased as savings rates increased. So when you look at the increasing scenario that I described earlier, the through target date achieved a 98% income replacement rate, or another way you can think about it is for the average employee about $10,000 worth of additional annual retirement income as compared to the to provider. So our analysis also looked at not so rosy scenarios in the markets. So we actually looked at the 10% worst market environments in history and looked at the impact of to versus through and these different plan design and savings rates. And what we found is that while there wasn't a material difference in what the to or the through target date option provided, what did help is the savings rate. So regardless of the market environment, you can help offset that by designing the plan prudently from a savings perspective.
So Brian, given all this and Fidelity's position as a leading target date fund provider, what's your approach and why did you pick that? Because you got to pick something, right?
We have to pick something, sure. So, well, as our hypothetical scenarios that we just talked about go to illustrate, we feel that participants that are invested in a through strategy, combined with prudent plan design features, they're more likely to achieve a higher income replacement goal. And so that's true in most market scenarios, except for the poor return environment that we talked about, where the results were more evenly matched between a through approach and a to approach. So at Fidelity, we designed the target date strategy with that goal of addressing a participant's entire lifetime and their income replacement goals in mind. So we consider how participants invest today, what might be required to maintain their standard of living, so what's an appropriate income replacement level, for example, in retirement, and how we balance those various risks that we talked about at the beginning in terms of longevity versus market volatility. So we believe that our through approach can lead to a better scenario for participants being able to retire at their targeted retirement age and maintain their dignity in retirement.
And just to be clear, the through means there's a higher equity exposure.
Yes, I mean, again, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but let's just say that the through approach, primarily because of the equity exposure, tends to bear more market risk through most of the glide path in seeking to offset that longevity risk.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today, Brian.
Thank you, Fred.
And thank you for watching 401k TV.